After the game press conference, and Rowan, you feature once more.
Look, I've been amused by some of the comment about, some of the comments from people here during the week, and bemused, I suppose. But look, I've got my philosophy about the way the game should be played, and I'm not going to respond to one loss. I mean, that would be ridiculous. I thought there was a total overreaction to one loss. I thought that. But look, that's the nature of the business. I mean, I've been sitting where you guys are now, 12 months ago. And I just thought that there may have been a little bit more balance in it. But look,
but who overreacted? Was it the media or was it other people?
No, no one in the club overreacted. I mean, they're much more sane than that. I mean, it was the media that overreacted. I mean, surely you, Rowan, having been in the media for a long time, would recognise that. We're talking about one loss at the start of a season.
I think it was probably the manner of it that caused everyone to react.
Yeah, but everybody's lost games.
I mean, your president had some fairly strong comments to make.
He wasn't talking about our performance. I mean, he was talking about some of the players and the way that obviously he thought that perhaps they didn't approach the game last week, but I wasn't unhappy with the way the players approached the game last week. I was unhappy with the way we performed last week, but I mean, we've put all that behind us.
You still think everyone will get one of those sort of touch-ups throughout the years, just that you got yours in the first round?
Look at Melbourne today. I mean, the wheels fell off for Melbourne. I mean, they came back in the third term. But, I mean, everyone is going to get a toweling from time to time. I mean, when the floodgates open in modern-day football, they open. And everybody walks through. And, it's very difficult to stop.
Sounds all right to me.
I've given you enough?
Interesting stuff, isn't it? I suppose you will have noticed once he got whatever it was off his liver, he warmed up a little bit. But I thought it was a bit of an overreaction to an overreaction, really. I just wondered if the fact that he'd been at Channel 7 for a while and spent a bit of time around the cast of Home and Away had anything to do with it. Because a little bit of melodrama, I thought.
Now, Rob,
I think you're niggling, you guys. You niggle.
But what we just saw there, I mean, that is one of the toughest things in footy, isn't it? I mean, straight after that after-match and you're in that situation. It's not one where you can prepare for during the week. But, I mean, you wrote an interesting article during the week. I mean...
Well, I did, and the basis of the article was that I believe today...
Big question by the kid, wasn't it?
I think well, it goes back. I was at Deakin Uni talking to some students there, and this kid says to me, if you drank Foster's from the age of 18 to 38 for 20 years, does that qualify you to be the Chief Executive Officer of CUB?
Well, did John Elliott, didn't he?
I said, no, it doesn't. And then he fired at me, well, how come Tim Watson gets to coach St Kilda when he's done no coaching apprenticeship? And it made me think of the coaches who've been appointed in the last 2 or 3 years. Neil Danaher, 10, 11-year apprenticeship. Terry Wallace, 5 or 6 year. Rodney Eade, 5 or 6 year. Choco Williams with Port Power, 6 or 7 years, had time with Kevin. And Jeff Geeshan, the list goes on. And all I said was, I think today, and be interested in your thoughts, Kevin, you and I virtually jumped from playing into coaching, but that was 20 years ago. The game's changed, and I think to learn about coaching by being in the hot seat is a very big ask of anyone, and particularly for Tim, because he hasn't been at a league club for the 5 years that he hasn't played. So it's not as if he's going out of playing into coaching. For 5 years he hasn't played. He's been around the scene, but the grilling that you get at the aftermatch, and you've had it for 20 years, and Stan, you know what it's like, even worse when you lose, nothing prepares you for that unless you've been an assistant coach and you've sat beside the senior coach and seen what goes on.
Yeah. I actually, at some stage, we'll bring my coaching staff in to be questioned after a match this year, just for them to get that experience, I think Terry and Harvey and Robbie Kerr and these sort of guys that probably have never had it, and they probably need to sit down and say, all right, Harves, answer that question about the back line.
How do you reckon they'll go?
I think it'll be very good, because, I mean, it's preparing coaches for what, Roberts, you're saying here. But, to me, I just think that, it is a very difficult job. You don't win the premiership. If ever, I've got 3 premierships, what's that, 6 hours of happiness in 19 years? Gee, it's a big one, isn't it,
Look at the tapes a bit more, you might enjoy it. Look, it continued on today, Rowan, and Patrick Smith, who is a member of our panel, he's in here pretty regularly. Well, Patrick, on the radio today, spoke to Tim Watson, and, well, it didn't stop, it continued on. So let's listen to the verbal conversation between Patrick Smith and Tim Watson.
But I must admit, I thought that it was a very curious press conference you had afterwards.
Yeah, I read your article this morning, actually, Patrick. I thought you'd fallen asleep in the press conference yesterday, but you're obviously awake.
No, it was just the silly answers you were giving to the questions that were quite legitimate, Tim.
Which bit should I have been embarrassed about, Patrick?
I would have thought the whole press conference, Tim. I think, excuse me.
Specifically what day?
Your behaviour.
And
the manner in you answered some questions. I realise that you're just in your second year, a second game as a coach.
No, it's the first year as a coach. Yeah.
Second game as a coach, Tim. Just you concentrate this time. Now, I realise that you're very vulnerable, and I think that you've had a stellar career as a player, and I know you're not used to criticism, but I thought I've seen a lot of press conferences, but I thought that was one of the most childish exhibitions of a coach.
Well, what actually happened, Patrick? Take us through what happened.
Which bit was childish, Patrick?
Oh, well, just the answers, as I've said, Tim, the answers that you gave to a question. Now, I can't remember the question verbatim, Tim, but it was, how much of an impact did the Brisbane match have on your attack on the ball? And you said none. And then just left it at that. And then asked again to sort of to expand on what clearly was a major difference in the performance of the two teams from Brisbane to Melbourne. You asked to expand on that, and you said, well, one game was played in Brisbane and one was played in Melbourne. Well, I mean, they're just childish reactions to questions. Well, definitely. I mean, you're a senior coach. You're asked legitimate questions. You ought to be able to.
And did I not answer the questions in the end?
No, you didn't. You just gave petulant answers, Tim.
Petulant.
I just think that. I think that.
Well, I'm glad I'm glad you're getting it off your chest then, anyway, Patrick.
No, you got it off your chest.
I'm glad you're getting it off your chest.
And I believe.
Have I actually done something to you in the past? Have I?
Tim,
have I done something to you in the past? Have I, Patrick?
Tim, I believe that you should. I mean, I think you've had a stellar career as a player.
Yeah, no, you said that before, Patrick. You're going back over old ground now.
You haven't
Try
got
and make a new point.
You haven't got much. I'll make a very valid point in a second. And you're on very shaky grounds for a person who started his career as a coach by lying to the media about whether he was appointed or not.
Oh, so it goes right back to there, does it? Okay.
No,
well,
no.
At least I've been able to flush it out now, Patrick. Anyway.
You haven't, Tim.
You've been harbouring this for 6 months, have you?
Well, that's absurd, Tim, and you're doing yourself no favours now. I'm just.
Or can we move on and talk about the game yesterday then? BT, have you got a question that you'd like to ask?
Yes, I have.
Tim, excuse me, Tim.
Have you got a question, BT?
Tim, have you finished with that, have you? You've got to learn to take criticism, Tim. And until Patrick, you do that, you will find it very difficult coaching at this level.
Well, that's... I didn't enjoy that, to be quite honest. I didn't enjoy it in the least. And, you know, I just... well, I feel strongly that I just hope that Tim doesn't lose focus of what he's on about. I mean, look, he's at the start of his career, and he's got a lot of positive things ahead of him, and we've talked about how difficult it is, and it's not to put him down in any shape or form, but I don't think he can afford or allow all these things now to come in and just wash over him. It's time. It's just back to basics and really get on with what he needs to do, and that's coach the Saints. I mean, they've got to go over and play Adelaide over in Adelaide. It's a tough enough assignment without him being distracted by all these things, in my opinion.
I just want to make the point, Rob, very quickly that both myself and Patrick did talk to Tim Watson today after that exchange and after what happened last night, and I think we're both. I think, well, Patrick certainly said he was, and I too. I mean, we're both happy with what he said to us. You know, I think it'll blow over.